Hi, my name is Mel, and the following video will explore the effects of the notifiable data breach or NDB legislation on Australian organisations. We'll cover legislative framework, organisational responsibilities, operational impacts, consequences of breaches, and best practices for compliance and risk management. So today we'll begin with an overview of the notifiable data breach legislation, followed by responsibilities imposed on organisations. Then we will examine operational impacts, legal and reputational consequences, and conclude with best practices organisations can adopt to manage risks effectively. The NDB scheme or the Notifiable Data Breach Scheme is part of the Privacy Act and sets out requirements for handling data breaches. Understanding its key provisions, scope and compliance timeline is essential for organisations to meet regulatory expectations. So the Privacy Act establishes principles for personal data protection in Australia. The Notifiable Data Breach Scheme mandates notification to affected individuals and regulators when eligible data breaches occur, aiming to enhance transparency and accountability. So basically you have to let people know and the authorities know, okay? A notifiable data breach involves unauthorised access, disclosure or loss of personal information that is likely to cause serious harm. Organisations must understand what constitutes such breaches to determine when notification is required. Organisations must notify the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner, or OAC, and affected individuals promptly, typically within 30 days of becoming aware of a breach. Adherence to this timeline is critical to avoid penalties. Australian organisations bear significant responsibilities under the NDB legislation, including identifying breaches, notifying relevant parties, and maintaining records to demonstrate ongoing compliance. Organisations must have processes to detect breaches quickly and assess the risk of serious harm to individuals. Timely identification is crucial for effective response and notification. Once a breach is assessed as notifiable, organisations must promptly notify the OAC and the affected individuals, providing clear information about the breach and steps to mitigate harm. Maintaining detailed records of data breaches, assessments and notifications is essential. Organisations must also regularly review and update their privacy practices to ensure continued compliance. The NDB legislation has prompted changes in incident response, employee training and resource allocation within organisations to better manage data breach risks. Organisations have updated their incident response plans to include breach detection, assessment protocols and notification procedures aligned with NDB requirements. Staff education on privacy obligations and breach identification is vital to ensure that employees can respond effectively and comply with the NDB scheme. Implementing compliance measures involves investment in technology, personnel, legal counsel, impacting organisation budget and resource planning. Failure to comply with the NDB legislation can lead to significant penalties, loss of customer trust and reputational damage, highlighting the importance of proactive compliance. The OAC can impose fines and take enforcement actions against organisations that fail to notify breaches or to comply with the Privacy Act, underscoring the legal risks involved. Data breaches can erode customer confidence affecting brand loyalty and market position. Transparent and timely breach management is critical to mitigating reputational harm. Examining real-world examples of breaches and regulatory responses provides insight into the practical challenges and consequences organisations face under the NDB scheme. To effectively manage data breach risks, organisations must implement strong security measures, develop tested response plans, and engage in continuous improvement. Adopting encryption, access controls, and regular audits helps protect personal data and reduce the likelihood of breaches. Organisations that have clear documented response procedures and conduct regular drills to ensure preparedness in managing data breaches and, do penetration testing, all that sort of stuff. Regularly reviewing policies, monitoring emerging threats, and adapting to regulatory changes enables organisations to maintain compliance and reduce risk over time. The notifiable data breach legislation significantly impacts Australian organisations by imposing clear responsibilities and operational and organisational changes. Proactive compliance and robust risk management are essential to mitigate the legal, financial and reputational risks. Thank you for your time.